Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank y'all for stopping by today. My name is Cindy. For those of y'all, it's your first time here, welcome, welcome. We do a little bit of baking, budgeting, and beyond. Today, we're gonna bake a carrot cake. This is one of my favorite carrot cake recipes I have ever had. I will link all the information below. I usually just put my website address where my blog is, and that's where I post my recipes. So it will be there. Even if you don't like carrot cake, I bet you'll like this one because it's gonna have a cream cheese frosting. So let's get started. I've got the oven preheating to 350. I've sprayed my pan with Pam, and this is the baking Pam. So it's like your flour and your grease and water. And like I always say, don't ever spray toward the floor. It'll be slick. And you always spray it over the pans that you're working with or over the sink. I've got my eggs. They've been sitting out there at room temperature. And I've got my cream cheese sitting out so it'll get softened up. We're going to start by beating our eggs. So I'm closing the bowl. Now these are ones I got from the store, so I don't worry about breaking them into a bowl like I do fresh eggs. We're using 4 large eggs. Turn it up on high. That's slightly cooking real good. So we have 1.5 cups of sugar, and I use level cups, measured it off, and I just put it in here for the ease of putting it in here. It uses 1 cup of brown sugar. Now brown sugar is different than when you're using sugar, regular sugar, white sugar, flour. When a recipe calls for brown sugar, it's usually packed in the cup, measuring cup. So I've got 1 cup of brown sugar packed in that measuring cup. And I'm gonna turn that back on medium, let that stir up. It also calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm using double strength vanilla, so I'm just gonna use 1. It gets light and creamy looking. So I have 1 cup of crushed pineapple. And when it says stir, I just put it on like a 1 and just add that in there. It's just like stirring it up with a spoon. So it calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour. It calls for 1 teaspoon of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. So we're gonna gradually add this in. And you can stir all that together if you want to. You're going to add the oil slowly. Almost made a mess. Should have added oil before the flour. I missed that. I have to read recipes just like y'all do. It's hard for me to talk and read at the same time, obviously. But it'll be alright. Now, we're going to add the carrots. Now I took my food processor and I took 1 pound of carrots and I shredded it with my food processor. And actually the recipe calls for 6 cups and it's 6 cups, so that was perfect. So 1 pound of carrots equals about 6 cups. I'm just gonna kind of loosen this up, put it in. And I washed my hands before I started. So they're clean. Always wash your hands first. And you can use a spoon if you want to. Y'all know, I just take dirtying up dishes I don't have to dirty up. And after I get all this shredded carrot in there, I'm going to add 1 cup of walnuts, chopped walnuts. Oh, and the oven's ready. That's good. So I've got the pan sprayed. Our carrots are in. So that little bit right there. Okay. Now we're going to add a walnuts. A healthy cup of walnuts, I call it. Then we're going to put it in the pans, and we're going to bake for 45 minutes. Now, I'm using 3 10-inch pans. You can use 8-inch pans or 9-inch pans. I know a lot of people don't have 10-inch pans, but I'll probably end up taking this to work tomorrow because my husband's a diabetic, and if I leave it here, he'll eat it, and he doesn't need it. I'll let him have 1 slice, 1 small slice. Okay. Looks like that's done, so we're going to put it in the pans. Alright, so I'm going to put this in these 3 pans. And then we're going to put it in the oven for 45 minutes and let it bake. And when it gets through baking, I'll take it out and I'll come back. I hate that. I hate when people do that. Sorry that I said We'll come back then and we'll see what they look. And after they cool, we'll make a cream cheese frosting. I'm debating whether or not to put some of the pineapple I still have left out of the can in the frosting. I think that would be really good. I'm gonna put this in the oven, and when it comes out, I'll come back to you and we'll see what they look like. So y'all, find you a cup of coffee or book or something, and we'll be back in a minute. I just got the cakes out of the oven, and they actually only took 33 minutes to bake, with them being 10-inch, because it spreads the batter out thinner. So if you're using like 8-inch, 9-inch pan, 45 minutes is probably what you want. Now remember, when you want to check and see if your cake's ready, remember when you start smelling it, you need to check it, because every oven is different. So that's the best way I know to check my cake, is when I start smelling it, I check it. And then when your toothpick comes out clean, then it's time to take your cakes out of the oven. So even if it says 45 minutes, you need to check it with a toothpick, especially if you're smelling it before 45 minutes, because it may not take 45 minutes in your oven. That's just what that recipe says. Go ahead and make our cream cheese frosting. So I have a large block, 8-ounce block of cream cheese. So we'll put that in the mix. I've got a 1/4 stick of butter. A 1/4 stick. A 1/4 cup of butter, which is a 1/2 stick. Remember, a whole stick is a 1/2 cup, so we're using a 1/2 stick. So there's that. Here's my butter. So I'm gonna turn this on, and I'm gonna let this mix up really good and smooth. So on medium speed. It should just get real smooth though, and it'll lighten the color of the butter. You know, butter's lighter in color than margarine, but it'll lighten them up and kind of get to be a cream color when you're whipping it up like this. I'm gonna turn it on high for just a minute. Okay, so that's all mixed together really well. What I'm gonna do now, I've sifted a 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, so I'm gonna start gradually adding this in here. Now, I'm gonna use the juice out of this pineapple, because I had, let's see, it's a 20-ounce can. That's what I had in the cabinet, so that's what I used. You could probably get by with one of those, you know, small cans. I don't see them as much anymore. Well, I'm gonna use the juice out of here to thin it instead of just milk. And then what this doesn't thin, I'm gonna use milk. Now, you just need milk. You don't have to have the pineapple, but I've got it, so I'm gonna use it. But what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna start putting in the powdered sugar, and I'm gonna start it out on low so I don't wear it. You know how messy I am. Let it incorporate. As it incorporates, I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit. Mix it together better. And turn it down again so I don't wear it. I know there's surely somebody as messy as me out there. When I'm using flour and powdered sugar, it kind of reminds me of a surgeon. He was an orthopedic surgeon. When he would put a cast on when I worked in the ER, there would be casting on the ceiling, on the counters. It was everywhere. And I was always like, how do you make such a mess? You want to get this to a spreadable, smooth consistency. So I'm just going to put a little bit of my pineapple juice in now. I think this is going to make it really good. I had never done this before, so we're trying something new. Like I said, you can just always just use milk. Low. Put a little more powdered sugar in. And you want to sift your powdered sugar because it takes out any lumps. Clean the sides because that butter gets stuck on the sides. Stand mixers. Make sure we get all that good stuff, that cream cheese and butter in there. Okay. Turn that up on a little higher rate there. Alright, we'll put some more powdered sugar in. I think I like to do these 10-inch cakes. It makes them thinner, but it gives you more frosting. Sorry, y'all, we had a camera glitch. Alright, so putting this back on medium. A little bit more powdered sugar. I'm going to add a little bit more of this pineapple juice in this can. Turn that up to get it incorporated good. Okay, back to Tupperware. Sorry, somebody was at the door. I'm going to turn this back on low, put a little more powdered sugar in. And just kind of let that get blended in there. We may not have to use any milk. There may have been enough juice, but we'll see. Just turn that up a little bit. So let me check this. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So we don't even need any milk. I just got a 12-inch cake board. You know, you probably have like a serving dish or whatever. I just find it easier to take it to work if I put it on a cake board, and then I've just got a box to put it in because I do cakes. So I'm gonna put a little bit of frosting on this cake board. So I'm putting a little bit of frosting on, and I'm gonna take my cake board and I'm gonna put it on this cake. This is one of the layers. I always take, when my cake is cooked, I get a cooling rack out, and then I just take paper towel and lay it on my cooling rack, and that's what I put my cake on. Pour that in the board. I'll take a big dollop. Now, when you're putting frosting on a cake, especially on a chocolate cake, if you keep your spatula or your knife in the frosting, you won't pull your cake into your frosting. Chocolate cakes are really bad to get crumbs everywhere. I'm just going to put a fairly thin layer, since this is 3 layers of cake. And I'll put this between each layer. Okay, so I just flip this next layer over onto a cake board because it just makes it easier to me to slide it on here. I'm just going to line it up. Some more frosting on the top. Spread that out. Like I said, though, I'm keeping it thin since there's 3 layers. And of course, my turntable's in the dishwasher. Turn it as we go. Counter okay. So then we'll do the same thing with this one. I'm just gonna put this cake board on here and just flip it over. You can find these cake circles at Walmart or Hobby Lobby, Michael. It just makes things easier to me. You don't have to have them. All right. I'm gonna put some on the top. What I am gonna do is take the rest of my chopped walnuts, sprinkle these on top. I think we may have just enough frosting to get the sides. So I just take a large spatula, and you can just use a knife if that's all you have. This should just be a thin coat on the side. If I hadn't used the pineapple juice, I would have put a little bit of vanilla extract in it. But alright, I'm going to get a plate. This is Pampered Chef. I'm going to link below a Pampered Chef contact and also a Tupperware contact, so if any of y'all need Pampered Chef or Tupperware, you can have somebody to get to. Doesn't that look yummy? All right, y'all, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you stopping by. And like I always say, you can be anything. Be kind. Bye, y'all.